you're very well today. Today we are making Bhatura Chane, which is a breakfast made from chickpeas and potato, and it's also served with a special bread. So let me start with what we'll be needing today.
Assalamu alaikum, hope you all are doing well. So Faye has already shared with you its Pathoray Chane for today, a much loved street food recipe from Lahore. So let's start with the ingredients. So I've separated the ingredients for chickpeas on this side, potatoes, spices here, and that special bread, all the ingredients are here. So let's start with chickpeas. So handful of coriander, about 250 grams of chickpeas which we have soaked overnight and boiled, and they're nice and soft. Salt is both for chickpeas and potatoes. It's approximately 1 teaspoon of salt. I'll be using some for chickpeas and some for potatoes. So then I have got yogurt, which is about 1.5 tablespoon, and on top is crushed black peppercorns, which we'll be using for chickpeas. About half teaspoon of red chili powder, quarter teaspoon of turmeric powder, quarter teaspoon of crushed Kashmiri Red Chilli Flakes, 1 teaspoon of coriander powder, a small length of cinnamon stick, 2 cardamon pods, and 1 onion would be using for chickpeas as well. Ginger and garlic, we'll be making ginger and garlic paste. And let's move on to potatoes. So 1 potato. For spices, half teaspoon of red chili powder, quarter teaspoon of turmeric powder, quarter teaspoon of cumin seeds, and quarter teaspoon of black onion seeds or nigella seeds or kalonji in Urdu. So for the special bread for Bhatura Chane, it's about 200 grams of self-raising flour, which will be mixing together with yogurt. So right now we have about 1.5 tablespoon of yogurt, but we might be adding a little bit more. However is needed, you can always add that amount. A drizzling of olive oil, you can use sunflower or vegetable oil as well. This is going in the dough as well. And just few pinches of salt. So we'll just add a tiny pinch of salt. And what will be going in this dough as well is yellow lentils, which is split moong dal, baghair chilke ke moong wali dal. So we'll boil it for about 20 minutes to make it half cooked before we put it inside the dough. We'll show you how that's done. So that's all the ingredients. Let's get started.
So to begin today's recipe, I'm going to start by putting the dal on, which I'll be needing to go into the bread. So I'm just going to use, I've just got boiling water in a pan. It's on a high heat for now until it starts to come to the boil. And for the amount of bread that I'll be using today, I only need about 1 tablespoon. So I'm just going to add that. And what I'm waiting for is for this to cook halfway, so for there still to be a bite to it, but it does start to cook. If there's any foam, any starch that starts to gather on the top, just remove that. It will just make the flavour a bit nicer. But while that's now doing its thing, I'm now going to start with the bread. So I've got all my ingredients here. I just need a bowl, and I'm going to put all the ingredients together. So that's the self-raising flour, the salt, which I'll probably just put a couple of pinches just to give it a little bit of flavour. I've got the yogurt here, which is the 1 tablespoon. And a little bit, just a drizzling of oil. I'm using olive oil, but you can use vegetables or sunflower oil. That should be enough. So I'm just going to mix these together with my hands until the dough begins to form. And what you're looking for is for sort of the bowl to become clear. It should all come together really nicely. You can add a little bit more yogurt or a little bit more flour if you need to. Just work it all in. So I am nearly done kneading my dough. The bowl is pretty much clear, but I've noticed that the froth, the starch, is beginning to gather on top of the lentils. So I'm now going to just remove that quickly. So all you want to do is just spoon that out. Should be fine. So I'll keep an eye on it to see if any more gathers on the top. But my dough has gathered, as I said, quite nicely. I did in the end add another tablespoon and a half of yogurt, just so that mine binded together nicely. So I'm just going to knead this for like another 3 minutes maybe, and then I'm going to leave it to rest with a tea towel over the top for about half an hour, and that will give the lentils time to half cook as well.
Okay, so let's get started with cooking now. We have 2 pans on. I've added little oil to both the pans. One will be preparing chickpeas in, and Faye will be preparing potatoes in the other pan. So the oil is hot. So let's add, so what we have done is, if you want to have a look, it's thinly sliced onions and about small pieces of potatoes. So let's get started. So that's for you. So Bhatura Chane is extremely popular in Lahore. You'll find it at every food street. So where street food is available, we have sort of dedicated food streets. So that's the reason I call it food street. Whichever food street you go to, you'll find loads of people selling Bhatura Chane, and you'll see so many people enjoying Bhatura Chane at every stall. There are some people who are very famous for it, and who do it better than others probably. But even I remember in some schools, in canteens and cafeterias, Pathoray Chane is one dish which is available, because even the students, no matter what age you are, they just love eating Pathoray Chane.
Better than chips you get in English schools.
The chips is very nice as well.
Chips and beans.
Yeah. Not sure about chips and beans together, but chips
that
is
a
very
combination. So I'll also let you know that the dal has now finished cooking, and so I've just drained the water and put them to one side so that we can use that later. The dough is also resting nicely here, and I've also put together the ginger and garlic paste. It's not a smooth paste, it's still got a slight texture to it. I prefer it this way for chickpeas.
And just to let you know, we have used about 4 or 5 cloves of garlic and an inch length of ginger to get this much paste.
But I think that's everything so far. We're now finally cooking, which is good.
So while we are cooking, the dough which we prepared is resting on the side. If you want to have a look, just here, nicely covered. And it's been about 15 minutes already, so 15 more minutes I would say.
Yeah.
So for onions, it's on low to medium heat, and the color that we're aiming for is golden, not very brown, just golden color. Once you get that, you move on to the next step.
We've also boiled the kettle as well, because once we add the spices, we will shortly after that need a little bit of boiling water. So that is also ready. I'm waiting.
And we have soaked the chickpeas that we will be using overnight and boiled them. They're nice and soft, ready for cooking now. Alternatively, if you find it to be a big task, you can also use chickpeas from a can. Those I believe are already soft, so once you wash them, they can go directly into the cooking process.
What do you think of these? Shall I now add
just fry them a little, so frying is good. Fry them a little more. So it's already on low heat, so it's low to medium heat for onions and low heat for potatoes.
These are literally just frying in oil. Have been for a few minutes now.
The forecast for today was that it's going to snow, and it was 100% snow from 8 in the morning until I think it was 4 o'clock in the evening. But so far
nothing's happened.
Nothing's happened, yeah.
I was looking forward to a bit of snow. And it's very windy up there as well. I can hear the fans going, the trees going, so
I think I'll just get some fresh air in. I'll just open one of the windows.
I think this needs some spices soon. I think this needs some spices.
Okay, yeah, so we have fried these potatoes on low heat. The oil was hot though. Faye is going to add spices now, so it's half teaspoon of red chilli powder, quarter teaspoon of turmeric powder, quarter teaspoon of nigella seeds, and quarter teaspoon of cumin seeds going in the potatoes.
So it's only for a few seconds, because you don't want those nigella seeds.
Literally 10 seconds maximum, and then we already have kettle ready with boiling water. Once you fry the spices for 10 seconds, splash of water to go in. So you get that smell from red chilli powder. I can even, not only the aroma of red chilli powder, but I can actually feel the aroma from black onion seeds and cumin seeds as well. Add a splash of water now. Little more. Yeah.
Oh, I love that smell. It's good. If you let the oil heat the spices, particularly the nigella seeds and cumin seeds, they do burn. So that's why you've got to be quick. It's good to have your hot water prepared. So what was your school dinners like? Did you eat at school or did you have packed lunch?
I would sometimes have packed lunch, which would be bread with omelette in it. That omelette would be prepared with onions, tomatoes, some green chilies and few spices, which I really enjoyed. But it was not every day that I would have packed lunch. At times I would just buy something from our school canteen, and most of the times it would be a Punjabi samosa, which is a vegetable samosa, and I really loved that in school. And there are other schools which sell Bhatura Chane as well, which I think is just amazing.
I don't think you'd like anything at my school. But I used to, primary school, if anybody remembers the desserts you would get at primary school, if you're watching, if you're from England, you'd always have like a traditional English dessert with like custard, like sponge. I always loved, I think it's called butter, I can't even remember.
Okay, while we're talking, let's, 5 minutes of frying, added spices for 10 seconds quick fry, splash of water. It's been a minute already, so what we're going to do is, just a second, we're going to add a little more water and start the cooking process for these potatoes. So some water, just enough for them to cook properly, and the lid will go on now. So the lid.
Do you want me to add any salt at this point?
Yeah, you can add salt now. So half a teaspoon of salt going into the potatoes as well.
Can I use this one?
Yep.
Okay.
Move on.
Just giving it a minute.
Okay. So in schools here, I think there are few things which I quite like as well in England. I think some schools they do jacket potato, which I think is brilliant. I love fish and chips as well, which I think if fish and chips is done properly, I think it's very, very nice. What I really like is when I buy my fish and chips, fish should not be oily, and the way to achieve that is you should add fish to oil at the right temperature to fry it. Otherwise it can absorb that oil, and it should always, in my opinion, be layered on a bed of chunky chips, not the thin French fries, because that's just wrong, I think. So if it's done nicely with some lime or lemon and what's the sauce I like with that?
With the mayonnaise.
Tartar sauce.
Yeah.
That goes brilliant.
Thing is, if you go to a British seaside town, it's all very oily. That's the way we like it. It's all very oily, very mushy chips.
I have my favorite restaurants and takeaway places which would do very nice fish and chips. So I would only go to those.
But I remember at school, when I was at sort of secondary school, I often bought lunch, and they had these cheesy rolls, and honestly they were like this warm roll, like dough with like stringy cheese, and most of the time you'd be absolutely freezing. It'd be morning break, no one would be wearing a coat because you weren't cool enough if you wore a coat, and you'd go and get a nice cheesy roll, and honestly I have tried to recreate these cheesy rolls and I just can't, but they were delicious. I love those.
Okay, the onions are nice and golden, and I'm going to add ginger garlic paste to onions now. So this is the pan in which the chickpeas would be going later. Give it a nice stir fry for about a minute, I would say. And the next step would be the spices going in.
Trying to think about the name of that dessert I liked at school. It's completely skipped my mind.
Must be sticky toffee pudding. I love sticky toffee pudding.
I don't know if many people have it now.
Sticky toffee pudding?
Butterscotch tart?
Okay.
Oh, it was creamy, sweet, had like a pastry, like a tart. Oh, whenever that was there, I used to love that.
Okay, so that was a quick fry of ginger and garlic paste with onions. So time to add spices. So these are the spices for chickpeas. 2 cardamoms, cinnamon stick, half to 3/4, depending on how hot you like it, a teaspoon of red chili powder, 1/4 teaspoon of crushed Kashmiri Red Chilli Flakes, 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric powder, and 1 teaspoon of coriander powder going in. So it will be a quick 10 seconds stir fry before splash of water goes in, and it's both of these pans are at low heat. In copper pan, once it has become hot, it retains heat very nice. So even for frying, I find low to medium heat is really good. So splash of water now. That's a nice base prepared for the chickpeas to go in. And did we share about the lentils?
Yeah.
Okay. So this recipe is very quick. We're pretty much doing it live in front of you, so it doesn't take much. It took Faye to prepare dough about 5 to 10 minutes, and it's been resting while we are cooking, so it's saving us time.
Smells amazing. I'm getting hungry.
So already, if you see, the oil has started to leave, and it's a good sign that we can move to the next step, which is to add chickpeas to it.
For those of you who don't know what oil separating is, because I didn't really understand this either, it's basically when you start to see the bubbles of the separate water and the oil. The oil often gathers on top, and it's often a slightly darker, redder colour, and you'll see this sort of towards the edges, on top, and that's how you know that the oil and the water has separated. So then you can just concentrate on reducing that water once you want to sort of finish your dish off. That's what we mean by separating.
Okay, so the chickpeas going in now. So they're already boiled and cooked, so it should not take long. I'll give it a quick stir fry. That's enough, just a tiny splash, and I'll add salt to it as well. So this is about half teaspoon of salt. I might add a little bit more. Should be alright, we'll check how it is a bit. I guess just to give you a close-up of what's going on, this is the pan with chickpeas. So it's after I added a splash of water. If you see on the sides, the oil is already separating and the water has almost reduced by now. And the pan that Faye is preparing, this looks really nice and colorful. If you see nigella seeds on potatoes, and they are nice and soft now without losing any form. So potatoes are all nice and soft. So I'm going to add yogurt to chickpeas, and whenever you add yogurt, it's better to remove the pan from heat. That way yogurt won't split. Okay, you can add it now. It's about 1.5 tablespoon of yogurt. So before I put it back on heat, I'll just
Fold it in.
Yeah, I'll just fold the yogurt in.
This is to avoid the yogurt from splitting, otherwise it ends up looking a bit like scrambled egg. So you want it to obviously merge within the masala and become creamy. So reducing the heat a little bit does help.
So I think there is water content inside yogurt. I've put it back on heat. What I would like to have is that water from yogurt to be reduced slightly. The oil, I should start seeing the oil leave once again or getting separated. Once that happens, which I think would be the next 3 to 5 minutes, I'll show you a special tarka today, which is tarka of the potatoes which we have prepared with some oil going on top of chickpeas. So this is how I would prepare Bhatura Chane. Okay, so if you see the oil has left on the edges, you see the oil is separate and from the masala paste. So that's a sign that it's been fried well, cooked well, and it's time for the last step, which is to do potato tarka with some oil on it. And our potatoes are ready in a separate pan. So this is the potato tarka going in. So I'll give it a gentle mixing, just very gentle so that you don't break any potatoes. Coriander, fresh coriander leaves, and to my taste is a couple of green chilies, chopped green chilies going as well, which is optional. Only if you fancy a little crunch of heat in every bite, you can do that. So I have some fresh chopped green chilies, so they'll be going on top. So that's one part of our recipe completed, and Faye is going to do the bread now, which has been resting for 30 minutes. So let's do the bread.
Alright, so it's time to make the bread. The first step was to put some oil into a pan and put it on a high heat so that it's nice for deep frying. I'm now going to check on my bread, which is looking quite nice. Just going to give it a little kneading. You don't necessarily need to do this, but I just like to do this. And then you just want to take a small handful amount for each bread. So something sort of similar to the size of the palm of your hand. So for this one, we've got also the lentils ready to use. I'm just going to use those, I'll show you how. So in a little bowl, we are going to add some lentils. So I've just made a little hole for them to sit in. And I'm just going to take just a small pinch of them. Okay, and I'm going to press it into the dough with my thumb until they're all sort of covered and immersed in the dough. So you can't see them anymore. And then I'm going to continue to roll them into a ball. So they are in there somewhere. And then we're going to roll this out into a thin circle shape. So what I like to do is just flatten my dough a little bit, just to sort of help it along and help me along to get into that nice circular shape. Something a bit like that. Okay, and then both sides so that it doesn't stick in the flour. It's also good to put a bit of flour on your rolling pin as well. And let's start. So I like to keep turning my dough This helps me get it into a nice circular shape.
So Faye has prepared very nice breads. If you have a look, they're very nice. So the oil is hot, and before you start with this process, just make sure you're comfortable handling hot oil and you are experienced in it. It can be dangerous, and just make sure you have everything you need to hand, because this is a very quick frying process, literally 5 to 10 seconds each side, and you just, otherwise it gets burnt. And the way I do it is I start one side of the pan. Let me just take that extra flour off. So you just start on one side, it will stick to oil, and you can just spread it along. No splash of oil. So literally 5 to 10 seconds each side. If you see, it will start to puff, and you see those lentils gaining some color in there as well. So that's pretty much it. So I'll flip it now, just like this. It has really nice color. So that's other side done as well. Drain all the excess oil and it goes in the basket. So the bread is red. I'm really impressed with really nice breads that Faye has made. And the lentils which you folded in, you can actually see the lentils and you'll be able to feel it in every bite. That's the difference between a regular puri and Bhatura Chane. This one is with lentils in it. So the bread looks very nice. You see how soft. There is hardly any oil it has absorbed because it was fried at the right temperature. And if you break it, it's so nice. You can actually create a nice bite.
It looks very nice and
hearty
fluffy.
bite from it.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to help myself directly from the pan.
This is his portion. This is my portion.
Okay, here you go. Let's make it your portion.
Thank you.
Go on, try first. So what I've done is, what really is optional is I like it with some fresh green chilies. So I've garnished it with fresh coriander leaves and fresh green chilies, and I've sprinkled some garam masala on it as well.
Oh, that's good.
I need to try.
The taste of that masala is lovely, and there is some nice heat. Tastes really good. I mean, I would love that for breakfast or any time of the day, really.
Okay, so this is a nice. So in my bite, I'll make sure there is coriander, green chili, potato, lots of chickpeas, and the masala paste. So that looks like a nice bite.
That does, yeah. I love the different texture of the chickpea. It's slightly harder, but still, you know, that mushiness as you bite into it. And then with the potatoes as well, to gather all of that in one bite is really nice. And the bread is really good. It's light. I feel like you can get loads of curry with it.
You know, most people they do Pathoray Chane and halwa puri. The bit which I don't like always is the fact that puris or this bread would be very oily, greasy, and that would make the whole experience not very pleasant. The reason I enjoyed so much making this at home with this recipe is because it's not oily, it's extremely light, and you can eat as many as you would like.
Definitely. Okay, well, while he's continuing to eat, I would like to say a big thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. We are going to now enjoy tucking into this. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video as well, and we hope to see you again next time. Bye for now.